Hi, thank you so much for joining me, Marshall. It's amazing to meet you because I've been a huge fan of yours for years, and it's such an honor to be able to sit down and just chat with you for a little bit. So thank you so much for being with me.
Oh, I'm
Um,
so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
this is so good. I'm so excited. Okay, so my executive coaching clients, I'm privileged to have some of the top C-suiters in the UAE, and I'm always with them on their struggle with focus. So the focus, I think, is the most difficult thing now for managers and C-suiters. And we started with the open door policy in the 90s, which was a really great idea prior to email and WhatsApp and all of that. Now, but with the minute-to-minute distractions that managers are facing today, what advice would you have for managers and leaders on maintaining focus?
Well, number one, I do agree this is a huge problem. So I'm going to only give you a couple of suggestions. These are in no way going to solve the problem. On the other hand, they might help. Number one is focus on yourself, and then I'm going to talk about how to help others achieve focus. Okay. First, starting with yourself. I would not have sort of this unlimited open door policy. You need to schedule time aside where your door is not open. You need to schedule time aside where you're there to think, because if not, then all you're doing is run around from activity and activity
Mm-hmm.
every day. So I would say, number one, focus is very hard to achieve. The other thing is, it's very hard to be the person you want to be because our lives start to blur together. So Carol Coughlin taught me a great technique I'm going to share with everyone listening right now. Get one question in front of you at all times. Am I being the person that I want to be right now? Am I being the person that I want to be right now? So when you go from Zoom call to Zoom call to Zoom call, you breathe. Martin Lindstrom, my good friend, said reset. You reset your mind. Where am I now? Am I being the person that I want to be now? Very important to reset every time and also not carry stuff with us. One of my great clients, Raj Shah, is head of the Rockefeller Foundation, just a great guy. And he did a wonderful thing. They raised billions of dollars, and he was doing a Zoom call at home. So he's jumping up and down, and he leaves the Zoom call and unfortunately goes into his kitchen. And he's so excited. Oh, let me tell you what happened. He goes on and on. His daughter just got dumped by her boyfriend. His son's
Oh,
computer was broken, couldn't do his homework. He was freaking out. His wife was totally stressed out. And all three told him he was a complete jerk. Well,
wow.
he didn't reset.
Yeah.
And he wasn't at the Rockefeller Foundation anymore. He was at home.
Yeah.
And you've got to reset. And where am I now? And the important thing is being where you need to be with the people who are there now. So one type of focus is empathy. That is, I'm going to be who I need to be with these people now. And then in order to help people get focused as a leader, I have a simple process. It's called 6 question coaching. And by the way, I'll send you the email. You can send it to all your listeners. 6 question coaching is that's have a regular dialogue with each one of your people, your direct reports, and you say, look, in terms of our working together, we need clear focus and alignment. 6 basic questions. Number one, where are we going? So on a regular basis, you just have a focus. Where are we going? What are the priorities? What's most important here? And then as a leader, you say, here's what I think. And then you ask, where do you think we should be going? Question two, where are you going? Give the person ideas. Here's where I see you and your part of the business going. And then ask them, where do you think you should be going? Because you want alignment two ways. You want alignment between the leader and the person being led and the big picture and the small picture. Number three, doing well. So here's what I think you and your part of the business are doing well. And then ask the person a question. What do you think you're doing well? What are you proud of? A great question. What are you proud of? That way you learn a lot you may not have known. For example, they may say, we worked all weekend on this project. You made a presentation to the board. It was fantastic. And as a leader, you may say, I didn't understand that. I should recognize the team. Question number four, suggestions for the future. And if you've read my stuff, I'm big on feed forward more than feedback. Give people ideas. Here's some things I think might help things get better for the future. And then ask a question, a great coaching question. If you were the coach for you, what ideas might you have for you? That's a great question because then sometimes their ideas are better than yours.
Mm.
Question number five, how can I help as a leader? And then question number six, here's what I'm trying to improve. Please give me ideas to help me get better. All my clients do this. Please give me ideas to help me improve. And then the key to making what I just said work is something called mutual responsibility. as you say, it's very hard for people to keep in focus today. So much distraction and change. What you need to say is, look, as needed, as I think needed, I'm going to go over these 6 basic topics. Number one, things can change. At any second in time, though, you need to have a clear focus, a clear sense of direction. Things can change. At any second, you need that clear focus. And if you ever feel overcommitted, ambiguity, not sure where you're going, not sure what's important, I want you to take responsibility and talk to me. Because if I do my job on a regular basis and you do your job on a regular basis by helping me, there's zero reason we should have a lack of alignment.
Right.
And I've done this with 7 CEOs. I've had remarkable success 7 times out of 7. And it pretty much always works.
That's amazing. No, and I love the emphasis on individual accountability and connecting with the people around you, those kinds of interpersonal things. I'm really well known in the region here for humanizing business. In fact, the title, I don't know if you know or not, my most recent book is called Business is Personal. And
Yes.
that for me is one of my axioms, and it carries a lot of meaning for me as I try to help people to elevate the amount of meaning they find in their jobs, because your job is
Right.
half of your life and things. I'm interested to know what that means to you. Like, what does business is personal mean to you? What are your thoughts on that phrase?
Well, I mean, of the people that I coach, I'd say I kind of rank order the ones that are kind of off the charts on greatness. And number one would be a woman named Frances Hesselbein. She was the former CEO of the Girl Scouts. Peter Drucker said the greatest leader he's ever met. She's 106 years old, so I doubt she's ever going to lose this trophy. So she's kind of got the Lifetime Champion Award. Number two is Alan Mulally. Alan was the CEO of Ford. The stock went from $1.01 to $18.40 when he was there. Had a 97% approval rating from every employee in a union company. I just loved him. He practices all this stuff very well. Number three is Jim Kim. He gets ranked number 3 because he saved 20 million lives. Right. He was head of Partners in Health, World Bank. I love the guy, amazing guy. And number 4 is my friend Hubert Joly. Now, the reason I bring him up, he's just wrote a book called The Heart of Business. And Hubert just got ranked number 1 leadership thinker in the world. I'm very proud of him. Not only was he named CEO of the Year in the United States, he was also in Thinkers 50 ranked number 1 leadership thinker. And Hubert really focuses on what he calls the heart of business. And what he does is he tries to look at each individual as a human being and say, what's your purpose? Why are you here? And how can we connect what you're doing here to your broader purpose in life? So I think he's a great example of exactly what you're talking about. And I think in the future, business is going to be more and more personal. Why? People don't need jobs now. At least in the United States. I mean, hey, it's hard to get people. And today, it's equivalent to managing a volunteer workforce. Let me tell you what I mean by that. You might say, well, they're not volunteers, they're getting paid. If the person you're managing can get the same job at higher pay someplace else or equal pay someplace else, they're a volunteer. They don't have to be there.
That's right.
They can walk. Yeah, they're a volunteer. They are only there voluntarily. I ask my people, how many of you manage some great people who can leave tomorrow and get a job with a pay raise? They'll say yes. Guess what? Those are volunteers.
Right.
If they can leave and get tomorrow and get a pay raise, they're volunteers. Well, you don't be personal. You do talk down to them. You do forget their own lives. You know what they're going to say? Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And and people are looking for...
breathing. I'm going to teach you something. I said something and you agreed with it. What was the first word out of your mouth after I spoke?
That.
No. You said, no, that's right.
First word was no. That's correct.
No. You agreed with me, yet you said, right. No. You said, no, that's right. The most common phrase uttered by smart people when people tell us something we agree with is, no, I agree with you. Or no, that's right. Now, I'll explain this to you. Smart person disease. I find my clients $20 every time they start a sentence with no, but, or however. I've made a fortune doing this. What happens is I said something you agreed with, and you already knew it. You already knew it. It is incredibly difficult for a smart person to hear someone tell us something we already know without us pointing out we already knew it. So no, that's right means no, Marshall. I already knew that and agree with you.
Oh, interesting.
Next time someone tells you something you agree with, don't say no.
That's very interesting. I've never heard that. That's absolutely
And by the
fascinating.
way, you didn't even hear yourself say no.
No, you're right. You're right, and I just did it again. It's true. Yes, it's true. It's an interesting instinct, actually, to
Yeah,
to start a positive sentence with no. I don't
yeah.
actually know where that comes from.
Well, it becomes from this. Your life has been spent an ongoing drama to prove how smart you are.
Hmm.
You've got a good
Interesting.
education. You've taken 10,000 tests over and over and over and over. Our lives have been spent proving we're smart. It's incredibly difficult to stop.
Hmm. That's true.
It is so deeply ingrained in us to prove how
Yeah,
smart
that's
and right
true.
we are. It is so hard to stop this, and we don't even hear ourselves do it.
Hmm.
We do this over and over and over again. We don't even hear ourselves.
That's fascinating, and it's true. You've caught me in that, and I'm going to try to be more mindful of that, at least through the remainder of our conversation and through the fireside chat in a couple of weeks from now. I think, yeah,
Good. Oh, that
I
would be
need to be more
fun.
mindful of that because it's absolutely true, and I've said it. And you know what, Marshall, I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. I know, like I've studied NLP, I teach NLP, I teach mindfulness and persuasion techniques and negotiation techniques, and I know what you mean. Like I hear you when you say we've been trying to collect and defend our own pocket of knowledge for so long we don't even know that we're doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. And in a moment of transparency, I do it too. Uh, there are moments when I am intensely insecure, and people look at me with, and I have a massive academic background, and I have an amazing profile, but I still wake up in the morning going, "Oh my God, I hope I can provide value to somebody's life today." I really do.
Yeah.
And especially when I'm meeting with CEOs who are themselves making decisions on behalf of 10,000 families. You know, there's
Yeah.
10,000 families who've all sent representatives to play an economic game every
Right.
day, and those CEOs are making decisions that can wipe 10,000 families out of their economic communities. And I think
Right.
for them to come to people like us for advice and for counseling and for coaching and say, hey, how do I play my game better? For me, that's an incredibly humbling experience. And I very often wake up in the morning. Not, I wouldn't say it borders on anxiety, it doesn't, but just the weight of that necessity to provide value to people who already have
Oh,
a
okay.
tremendous amount of
More.
responsibility.
See, you didn't know this was going to be a coaching session. Ready?
It's Are you going to coach me now? Come on, my
Yeah.
friend.
More
I'll take it.
coaching.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I've already coached you once. This is number two. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
My
Yes.
good friend Harry Kramer was CO Baxter, and he's also a member of our 100 coach organization. He made a presentation, and someone asked him a very deep question. He said, Harry, how do you sleep at night? What keeps you from worrying all the time? You have to make
Mm-hmm.
decisions. You have to lay people off, fire people. You have to do things that cause economic damage to people's families and lives. How do you
Yeah.
sleep at night? He said, I only ask myself two questions. This is great coaching for you. Question one, did I do what I thought was right?
Mm.
Question two, did I do my best? If the answer is yes and yes, make peace.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good.
That's all any of us can do.
It's true.
All any of us
It's
can
true.
do in life. You do your best. You do what you think is right. Let it go.
I agree with you. Yeah, I don't have any trouble sleeping. I have trouble waking up. Not that I want to stay sleeping, but I have when I wake up, I'm already full of ideas. I find I come up with really amazing ideas very late at night or very early in the morning, just as I'm slipping
Good.
into or out of dream state.
Good.
And yeah, and I really just want to provide as much value. I want to improve the quality of people's lives as much as I possibly can while I'm here. I feel
Hmm.
like that's something that I can do. I feel like it's something that I'm talented at and that I can do
Hmm.
better than the majority of people. And so I'm
Hmm.
really always looking for opportunities to make sure that I hit the day knowing exactly whose life I'm going to impact and how I'm going to try and do that.
Very good.
So thank you. I appreciate that. So listen,
Good.
my one of my other challenges with my coaching clients is on qualities of leadership and qualities of management. My previous book dealt with that. It's called Spartan CEO. It's on 6 pillars of executive performance, and for me, those pillars were fitness, confidence, connecting, discipline, rest, and competition. And I'm interested
Hmm.
to know from somebody with as much experience as you have, qualities would you say are necessary in like a Spartan CEO?
Well, for aspiring CEO, for the leader of the future, I did a book about this, and we, we talked about 5 things that are more important in the future than the past. Now, that's not everything. There's a lot of things that are important in leadership, so I'm not going to try to cover all topics here. Just give you a couple. Well, the first one is global thinking. In the past, leadership used to be much more local. It was very local, tribal, cave. Now leadership is becoming much more global. Number 2 is cross-cultural awareness, being aware of people in different backgrounds, cultures, occupations. Number 3 is a technological savvy. You don't have to be a technologist. You just need to be able to use technology and understand technology. And, like our first interview, I wasn't able to do it because the technology screwed up. Well, that's the way it is. You really need to keep on top of technology today. Number 4, building alliances and partnerships. Leadership used to be much more top-down. Leadership today is much more horizontal. And then number 5, leader as facilitator as opposed to leader as expert. In the past, there was an assumption leader knew more about what they were doing than their subordinates. Today, Peter Drucker taught me this, we live in a world of knowledge workers. They know more about what they're doing than you do.
Right.
Well, when they know more about what they're doing than I do, I can't tell them what to do and how to do it. I have to ask, I have to listen to learn. It's a new world.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's amazing. And I did it again. I said no. I did it. Did you hear it? I heard it just as soon as I had said it.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, I said, no, that's amazing. And then as soon as I said it, I heard it. And then I checked myself and I was like, oh man, he's going to say something. I better say something faster. So there's my next little piece of transparency. I was like, oh, I better acknowledge it before he points it out. Yeah. It's very good. Like there's so much now, I think, like you said, the people that work for us now are the knowledge workers. They know much more than we do. And so it makes let's say the talent or skill sets of management and leadership and coaching even that more important than just the packets of knowledge that we should have in our industries. So I find that I'm working as a coach on a totally different level of skills. And so the skills of management and leadership and coaching, they're fairly well developed. And a good deal of my coaching clients are looking for new sets of skills based on the neurosciences. So I do a lot of training in momentization, mindfulness, and flow. I'm interested to know from your experience, how important do you think the neurosciences are now to the present and future of good leadership and management?
Not an expert.
Okay, no, it's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, I appreciate that. Look, I'm looking forward to my chat with you at the Fireside Chat at the event on November 30th. We're going to have a whole bunch of leaders from the MENA region, and I'm excited to bring them in. And in advance of that, I want to know from you, what would you like them to be thinking about as they come into that conversation?
Well, my area of expertise is I help successful leaders achieve positive long-term change in behavior for themselves, for their people, and for their teams. Any question about that, either how you can have a great life or help the people around you have a great life, is fine. As I've grown older, my level of aspiration in life has actually gone down and down and down. My level of impact has gone up and up and up. What's my level of aspiration for the group? Help the people there have a little better life and the people around them have a little better life. That's it. So just come thinking about, hey, how can this help me have a better life? Or maybe the people around me have a better life. And if some percentage of people that we interact with, either they have a better life or the people around them have a better life, it's a very successful thing.
That's great. And actually on the topic, I was intending to ask you maybe a little bit later, but what would you say, not just a better life, but from a work perspective, what would you say are the qualities of a meaningful career?
Well, I mean, you need to look at 3 dimensions. One is, and I'm talking about this at the session a little more deeply, but one is aspiration. That's a broader purpose. Why am I here? What's this all mean? The other is ambition. That's the achievement of goals. And then the third one is action. That's enjoyment of the day-to-day process of life. So as we go through life, we need to balance this first, our aspiration. Why are we here? What's the broader purpose? What does all this mean? And then on the other hand, we need to have ambition. We have to achieve goals so that this actually goes somewhere. And finally, we need to enjoy the process of life itself.
Right.
So to the degree we can align those, we kind of win in the game of life. And most of the people, my guess is that we're going to be dealing with, most of my coaching clients, their problem is phase two. They're goal achievers, they become goal obsessed, and oftentimes they have an illusion. If I achieve this goal, I will find peace. If I
Right.
achieve this goal, I will be happy. If I achieve this goal, everything's going to be great for eternity. That's not
Right.
the way it works. And by the way, Olympic gold medalists often depressed, National Football League depressed after they retire, bankrupt. Uh, High achievement is great for high achievement.
Mm.
Happiness and peace are great for happiness and peace.
Hmm.
Meaning is great for meaning. They're not the same things.
No, I
And
totally
when we
agree with
have,
you.
yeah, and when we have this illusion that if I achieve something, everything's going to be great, we fall into a huge and very common trap. Now, there's a book you may have read before, one type of book, it always has the same ending. And they lived happily ever after.
Mhm.
And they lived happily. What type of book is that? It's a
Fiction.
fairy tale. Fairy tale.
Yeah.
That's the ending of all fairy tales.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why they're called fairy tales.
Right.
You know,
So
in life,
with
we constantly reinvent our lives.
right, and with that constant reinvention, with so much change, and the fact that like even on an organizational level, companies are being born and collapsing so quickly, like at a blistering pace. Careers are being born and collapsed quickly, and the turnover rate just among employees is so fast. How important or how relevant now are I would say the classical concepts of vision, mission, values, and goals?
Oh, more important.
More important.
More
Why would you
important.
say that?
Sure. Well, because as I said earlier, people can leave.
Hmm.
And also the world is changing so rapidly. People need, as you mentioned the first question, some focus, some grounding. And if that's not there,
Yeah.
then why should people stay if they don't have to?
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. It's just that there seems to be that tension, right, between the speed of change and the longevity of vision and the longevity of long-term goals and mission, and that providing that kind of stability when it seems that nobody wants it.
Well, when you say long term, to me, that's a different question. You want to have long term values.
Hmm.
You want to have long term values and overall broad vision, perhaps. But in terms of specific goals and objectives, the idea that I'm going to talk about goals and objectives 10 years from now, it's not going to happen.
Hmm. Right.
You don't know
Yeah,
what's
that
10
would
years,
change.
5 years from now, you don't know what's going to be 5 years from now.
Yeah, so the visions can still be broad and big, but goals then have just a tighter window rather than having 20-year goals. Or when
Yeah.
I did my first master's degree, Toyota had like a 300-year plan or some crazy stuff
Yeah.
like that. So rather than that, we just have a tighter turnaround of goals. As long as the
Good.
values remain the same and the vision remains the same, then that's the hot core that you would say is actually going to be enduring.
Good.
No, I appreciate that. And there I did it again. I said, nah. I said, nah, I appreciate that. And I caught myself doing it. And this whole it's going to be edited, by the way, Marshall. It's okay. But you know what? I'm just going to leave all of that in because I'm big on transparency, and transparency builds
We should
trust.
leave
And
in
maybe
the no part.
I'm just gonna leave it all in. I'm going to
Leave
give
in
you
the
that.
no part. The
I'm going
no
to do
part
it.
is great.
Yep, I'm leaving it in. I'm telling my editor now. Just leave in all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that
the no
stuff.
part is
Right?
great because what happens is, you see, the no part makes you human.
That's it.